والصلاة والسلام على من لا نبي بعد. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. So in our previous lesson I spoke about the concept of morality and why we need some sort of why we need Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to teach us, to explain to us the concept of morality, right? But elsewhere in the Qur'an, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, اتخذوا أحبارهم ورهبانا أربابا من دون الله. They take the rabbis and priests as lords or rabbs besides Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? Now, obviously, as is well aware, as all of you are well aware, the Jews do not take the rabbis, nor do the Christians take the priests as lords besides Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So what precisely is meant by this ayah of the Qur'an, اتخذوا أحبارهم ورهبانا أربابا من دون الله. What is meant by this is, the Prophet ﷺ explained that which the priests and rabbis make halal or lawful is accepted as lawful, and that which they make unlawful is accepted as being unlawful. Now, an interesting issue that comes up is, what about the madahib, right? Because someone says, one guy says, I'm a Shafi'ee, the other one says, I'm a Hanbali, the other one says, I'm a Maliki, the other one says, I'm a Hanbali, the other one says, I'm a Shafi'ee, right? The other one is not sure what he is also. No, but all of these madhahib, they relate back to a particular individual or a particular person. So how is this distinct from the concept of taking your priests and your rabbis as lords besides Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? So in order to explain the concept of a madhab, I'm going to use the Shafi'ee madhab as a basis, or as a sort of, Shafi'ee madhab as a system upon which to build upon the idea or the concept of a madhab. However, all of the arguments that I am going to use with slight modification can be used for any of the other four madhahib. The simple reason that I'm choosing the Shafi'ee madhab is because it's the most prevalent madhab in our locality, right? So firstly, before I explain the Shafi'ee madhab, who is Imam Shafi'e rahmatullahi alayh? The madhab obviously gets its namesake from Imam Shafi'e. Who precisely is Imam Shafi'e rahmatullahi alayh? Most people say they are Shafi'is, but they don't actually even know simple things about Imam Shafi'e. Like if I'm going to ask what's the name of Imam Shafi'e? Does anyone know what Imam Shafi'i's actual name is? Imam Shafi'e rahmatullahi alayhi's name is Muhammad ibn Idris al-Shafi'i. Imam Shafi'i was born in the year 150 Hijri in Gaza, the present day beleaguered city of Gaza, in modern day Palestine or the occupied territories. And at the age of 2 in the year 152 Hijri, his mother takes him to Makkah al-Mukarramah. And one of the reasons for taking Imam Shafi'i from Gaza to Makkah al-Mukarramah is that Imam Shafi'i rahmatullahi alayhi he is from the tribe of Quraysh. In other words, a very dignified and prestigious tribe, and his mother feels that he will have a better chance of developing and becoming successful if he's in Mecca as opposed to Gaza. In fact, the Prophet ﷺ has an individual in his lineage, which is the same individual that Imam Shafi'i rahmatullahi alayhi has in his lineage. So Imam Shafi'i rahmatullahi alayhi is an orphan. Is brought up by his mother in extreme poverty, right? So while Imam Shafi'i at the age of 7, Imam Shafi'i becomes Hafiz of the Qur'an. At the age of 10, he memorizes the Hadith book of Islam, the Mathab of Imam Malik. At the age of 15, his teacher Muslim ibn Khalid al-Zinji gives him official permission to give fatwa. So just wrap your head around this concept. At the age of 15, Imam Shafi'i rahmatullahi alayhi was a mufti who had permission to give fatwa in the shadow of the Kaaba, right? And just allow yourself to think about this, because how much as a normal individual done in his life at the age of 15. There's a piece of poetry of Imam Shafi'i rahimahullah. I know this actually is supposed to be a lesson as opposed to a poetry session, but seeing that we are speaking about Imam Shafi'i, I think we can indulge and patronize a bit of his poetry. It's a piece of poetry of Imam Shafi'i. It says, أخي لن تنال العلم إلا بست سأنبئك عن تفصيلها ببياني ذكاء وحرص واجتهاد وبلغة وصحبة أستاذ وطول زماني. It says, أخي, or my brother, you will never attain knowledge except as a result of 6 things. And then explain what these 6 things are. Number 1, intelligence, assiduousness, when you push yourself or strive towards something, means وصحبة أستاذ وطول زماني, and the companionship of teachers as well as a long time, right? So anyway, so after being in Makkah al-Mukarramah, Imam Shafi'i rahmatullahi alayhi travels to Medina, and there he studies under Imam Malik. After going from Makkah to Medina, he eventually goes to what is modern day Iraq, and there he meets the students of Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullahi alayhi. Prime amongst them is Muhammad Hassan al-Shaybani. Muhammad Hassan al-Shaybani, who is a Shafi'i scholar, a Hanafi scholar, speaks very highly of Imam Shafi'i rahimahullah. He says, if the scholars of hadith speak, it is in the language of a Shafi'i, right? So at this point in the life of Imam Shafi'i rahmatullahi alayhi, Imam Shafi'i is essentially a Maliki studying under a Hanafi, right? At that point in Imam Shafi'i rahmatullahi alayhi's life. But Imam Shafi'i himself had very great respect for Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah. There's a piece of poetry which says لَقَدْ زَانَ الْبِلَادَ وَمَنْ عَلَيْهَا إِمَامُ الْمُسْلِمِينَ أَبُو حَنِيفَةَ بِأَحْكَامٍ وَآثَارٍ وَفِقْهٍ كَآيَاتِ الزَّبُورِ عَلَى الصَّحِيفَةِ فما بالمشرقين له نذير ولا بالمغربين ولا بكوفة فرحمة ربنا أبدا علي مدى الأيام ما قرئت صحيفة. It's essentially an ode of Imam Shafi'i rahimahullah to Abu Hanifa, where he speaks about the greatness of Abu Hanifa in terms of his character and in terms of his intellect, in terms of his knowledge. He even goes as far as saying فما بالمشرقين له نذير ولا بالمغربين ولا بكوفة. Not the two east, nor the two west, nor Kufa has seen the like of the scholarship of Abu Hanifa. This is despite the fact that Imam Shafi'i rahimahullah is obviously on a similar level to Abu Hanifa rahmatullahi alayhi. So while at this point in time he looks at the different madhab, he obviously becomes an expert in the Hanafi madhab. He also becomes an expert in the Maliki madhab, and he looks at these two madhab, and he looks at the strengths and the weaknesses of each of the madhab, and he develops an independent madhab of his own. This is referred to as the the Qadim madhab of Imam Shafi'i rahimahullah. I'm not sure exactly how much Muhammad explained in his fiqh classes regarding the Qadim madhab. But when I was editing his videos, I got some sort of snippets of what he says, and he did mention the Qadim madhab of Imam Shafi'i. So anyway, so while he's in Iraq, he also meets quite an interesting individual, a man by the name of Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal rahmatullahi alayhi. And they have a very cordial relationship, Imam Shafi'i as well as Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal rahmatullahi alayhi. So while Imam Shafi'i and Ahmad ibn Hanbal is in Iraq, one of the things that happens is a controversy arises regarding the uncreatedness of the Qur'an. This is a historical issue within Islam, where the Mu'tazilites and the sort of orthodoxy of Islam had an issue regarding the Qur'an, and regarding the influence rationality should have on Islamic theology. So there's an agreement between a Shafi'i rahmatullah alayhi and Ahmad ibn Hanbal that they should not stay together because they are the two mujtahids of their time. Right? There were many others, but prime amongst them was Ahmad ibn Hanbal and Imam Shafi'i. So Imam Shafi'i decided it's mutually agreed between Ahmad ibn Hanbal and the Shafi'i rahmatullahi alayhi that Imam Shafi'i should leave what is today modern day Iraq. So Imam Shafi'i leaves and eventually enters Egypt. So Imam Shafi'i reaches Egypt in the year 199 Hijri. Right? And at that point in time, Imam Shafi'i rahmatullahi alayhi's fame had spread quite well. And in the last 4 years of his life, approximately, from around about 199, 200 Hijri to about 204, he completes the final madhab, what is referred to as the madhab of the Jadid madhab of Imam Shafi'i rahimahullah in a period of about 4 years. Now precisely what is the difference between the Qadim and Jadid, that's I think for advanced fiqh studies, and also our lesson strictly does not deal strictly with fiqh actually. It's more dealing with, it's actually meant to deal with an explanation of the Qur'an. Anyway, so Imam Shafi'i's legacy is monumental. He has the Risala as well as Kitab al-Umm, etc. Imam Shafi'i rahimahullah is also the first individual is the first to formulate the principles of science of which of nasikh wal mansukh. He is also, interestingly enough, Imam Shafi'i has a passion and a flair for Arabic language, and in fact the works of Imam Shafi'i was used later as lexical evidence by grammarians. So essentially, if Imam Shafi'i rahimahullah says something, then it's accepted as, okay, this is how the Arabic language is. That is a status that Imam Shafi'i rahmatullahi alayhi had reached in the field of linguistics. So Imam Shafi'i rahimahullah, one of the well-known issues of them is he's said to have divided his night into three parts: one for writing, in other words academic study, one for sleep, and one for tahajjud. And that's a very good way for you to actually divide your night: one part for tahajjud, one part for sleep, and one part for academic pursuits. Imam Shafi'i rahimahullah was a really humble individual. It is said of him that he wanted people to learn his knowledge without a single letter being attributed to him. And interestingly enough, oftentimes when we do speak about the Shafi'i madhab, we say it's the Shafi'i madhab, but very seldom do you actually find Imam Shafi'i said X, Y, Z. Oftentimes you find, Az-Zarkashi said, or Imam al-Rafi'i said, or Nawawi said, or Hajar said. Very seldom do you actually hear Imam Shafi'i said, despite the fact that he is the fountainhead of the Shafi'i madhab. Just to give you some pieces of poetry of Imam Shafi'i which speaks about his humility. Imam Shafi'i rahimahullah says, this piece of poetry of his where he says, شكوت إلى وكيع سوء حفظي فأرشدني إلى ترك المعاصي وأخبرني بأن العلم نور ونور الله لا يؤتى للعاصي. He says, I complained to Waki, who was his teacher, regarding the weakness of his memory. Right? This is a guy who was mufti at the age of 15. He's complaining that he's got weak memory. سوء حفظي فأرشدني إلى ترك المعاصي. So he informed me that I should leave off sin. And he informed me that most certainly knowledge is a light, and the light of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not given to sinners. There's another piece of poetry of Imam Shafi'i. Inshallah this will be the last. There's another piece of poetry of Imam Shafi'i which is supposedly attributed to Imam Shafi'i, so don't quote me on this. But there's a piece of poetry of Imam Shafi'i where he speaks to Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, and he tells Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, أحب الصالحين ولست منهم لعلي أن أنال به بشفاعة وأكره من تجاوته المعاصي وإن كنا سويا في البضاعة. That I love the pious, but I'm not of them. Perhaps I may be able to attain intercession by means of them, and I hate those who trade in bad deeds, despite the fact that we are involved in the same trade. And then Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal responds to Imam Shafi'i also in pieces of poetry where he says, تحب الصالحين وأنت منهم ومنكم سوف يلقون الشفاعة وتكره من تجارته المعاصي وإنقاك الله من شر البضاعة. That you love the pious and you are of them. And perhaps, and from you we shall attain intercession. And you hate those who trade in bad deeds, and I pray to Allah that Allah does not make us from amongst them. Anyway, so that is a brief synopsis of the life of Imam Shafi'i rahimahullah. So now, more importantly, how precisely does a madhab develop? Right? Why do we have a madhab as opposed to just, why don't just some random guy just says, okay, this is how you make salah, right? So essentially what happens is we get revelation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as how we do particular things, right? And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends that through His messengers. So in our case we have Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who sends the message through Jibreel, and then that goes to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he teaches it within his immediate vicinity. In other words, to the Sahaba ikram radiyallahu anhum, right? But what we have to understand is that in the time of the Sahaba they had a very simple agrarian society, right? So as the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam obviously passed away, and then you have the Sahaba who start developing, right? So they start spreading far and wide. They start coming into contact with the eastern wing of the Roman Empire. They start making contact with the ancient Egyptian civilizations. They start making contact with the Persian civilizations. And the Muslim community, the Muslim empire spreads. It becomes this massive this massive empire. So new issues, new questions comes up that the Prophet ﷺ did not directly deal with. So what you find is that the Sahaba initially, they then make their own ijtihad, right? And there are particular individuals amongst the Sahaba radiallahu anhum who are experts in Islamic jurisprudence. Amongst them, Umar ibn al-Khattab, Ali bin Abi Talib, Aisha bint Abi Bakr, Abdullah ibn Abbas, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, Zayd ibn Thabit, etc. These are the experts from amongst the Sahaba. They are, so to speak, the jurists, right? The ulama from amongst the Sahaba radiallahu anhum. And obviously, as time goes by, then you have the tabi'in, who then have their own scholars from amongst the tabi'in, who in turn were students of the Sahaba, right? And the Sahaba and the tabi'in then spread out across the globe, right? So you find that within different vicinities, you have different individuals, different ulama who teach people, and through their teachings and their students' teachings and the teachings of their students, a madhab would develop. For example, you find that Abu Hanifa, he codifies and arranges laws in areas and chapters, and this is in Kufa. In Medina, you find the likes of Imam Malik rahmatullahi alayh. And if you look at for example, that Imam Shafi'e rahimahullah was a student of Muslim Ibn Khalid al-Zinji, which was in Mecca, who in turn was a student of Ibn Jurayj, who in turn was a student of Ibn Atta, who in turn was a student of Abdullah ibn Abbas, who was Sahaba, who in turn was a student of many different Sahaba as well as the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Imam Shafi'e rahimahullah was also a student of Imam Malik, who in turn was a student of Nafi', who in turn was a student of Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu anhu, who, as we all know, was a member of the Sahaba. Right? Also, if you look at an individual, not exactly related to this, if you look at an individual like Ishaq ibn Rahawayh, right? Ahmad ibn Hanbal, who were students of Imam Shafi'e rahmatullahi alayh. And an interesting contribution of Ishaq ibn Rahawayh is that he was an ustad of Imam al-Bukhari rahimahullah, and he's the one who had a significant influence on causing Imam al-Bukhari to pen the work which we today know as Sahih al-Bukhari. Alright? So the teacher of al-Bukhari was Ishaq, whose teacher in turn was Imam al-Shafi'i rahimahullah. Right. Another issue that we have to understand is the Prophet ﷺ would dispatch the most knowledgeable of the companions to areas where the inhabitants did not know that much about Islam. So they would teach the people of Islam, right? So they would say, and sometimes they would come up with issues, right? Because they are now a madhab deals with modern day relevant issues. So you come across, let's say, you want to put deodorant on, right? Is that halal for you to do or not? Right? Is that halal for you to do or not? Right? You want to invest in a stock exchange. Is that halal for you to do or not? So what happens was these ulama, they exerted themselves, right? And obviously, either they could find it from Qur'an Sunnah because they were knowledgeable. Sometimes they could not find it directly from Qur'an Sunnah, so they would make ijtihad and exert themselves, and based on the values within Qur'an and Sunnah, they would develop rulings, and these were in different parts of the world, and these individuals would then pass it on to their students, and like that, the different madahib would develop. And this is established even in the Qur'an. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ إِن كُنْتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. Ask those of knowledge or understanding if you do not know. In kuntum la ta'lamun, right? Also, you find that there are those who are of different levels of knowledge, and they will inevitably depend on each other, right? Not in the individual companions giving a legal ruling always say, okay, this is the basis within Qur'an Sunnah for this legal ruling. Oftentimes, Sahaba would give legal rulings, obviously based on their understanding of Islam, and people would simply follow it. Like Anyway, where was I? Oh yes. So, amongst the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, amongst the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, sometimes what would happen is they would give legal rulings, and it was, according to Dr. Muhammad Said Ramadan al-Bouti, the well-known Syrian scholar, oftentimes it is accepted by consensus that they didn't always ask, look, where did you get this ruling from? What is the basis in Qur'an and Sunnah for this ruling that you are giving me? They accepted that these are ulama from amongst the Sahaba, and they were well-known upright people, and when they gave rulings, it was it was accepted, right? So, okay, that's that. So another issue I think, another issue I think is important to understand when it comes to the concept of a madhab is if you look at how science works, right? So oftentimes someone has an opinion. So someone says, okay, I believe X, Y, and Z. So it goes into a scientific journal, and then there's peer reviewed. So not any ordinary guy says. So if someone comes up with a scientific finding, not every ordinary guy criticizes. It is individuals, doctors of science, experts in science, who analyze this, right? So this is essentially what is referred to as peer review. Now, if you look at the madhab, you find that something very similar happens within a madhab. Because if you ask yourself, why are there only 4 madahib? One of the reasons that there are only 4 madahib is because these 4 madahib have stood the test of time. If you look at just the Shafi'i madhab, you find that the Shafi'i madhab has significant patronage from great ulama across the ages, right? Let's start with Imam al-Nawawi rahimahullah. Imam al-Nawawi rahimahullah was born in 631 Hijri. The only reason why I'm starting with Imam al-Nawawi is because at the point of Imam al-Nawawi rahimahullah, the Shafi'i madhab was developed significantly. There are other great well-known ulama who also followed the Shafi'i madhab. The likes of Imam al-Muzani rahimahullah, born in 175 Hijri, was an independent mujtahid in his own right. The right of al-Nafi rahimahullah was on a similar level to al-Nawawi. And the likes of Abu Hamid al-Khazali rahimahullah, born 450, died 505 Hijri, right? He was a well-known scholar of philosophy, a well-known scholar of fiqh, a well-known scholar of aqidah. If we were to only look at one of those aspects of his life, it would have been significant to make al-Khazali well-known, but yet he was a Shafi'i. So you find Imam al-Nawawi rahimahullah. Imam al-Nawawi rahimahullah is the commentator of Sahih Muslim. His commentary on Sahih Muslim is the de facto accepted commentary on Sahih Muslim. He's an expert faqih, a jurist, a Shafi'i jurist, but additionally is also an independent hadith master in his own right. After that you also find the likes of Imam al-Dhahabi rahimahullah. Imam al-Dhahabi rahimahullah died in the year 748 Hijri. Imam al-Dhahabi, in addition to be a Shafi'i jurist, is also a hadith master, is also an expert in Islamic biography, as well as his book Siyar al-Alam al-Numala is unmatched by very few works in that genre. Right? Then you find the son and father duo of Taj and Taqiyuddin al-Subki, well-known, initially Egyptian in origin, based in Syria, well-known faqih, well-known Islamic Shafi'i jurist. You also find the likes of Ibn Kathir, right? Ibn Kathir is number one. He's a Shafi'i jurist, he's a hadith master, he's an expert in history, his exegesis of the Qur'an is well known and accepted across the world, right? Then you find the likes of Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani. Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani, he died in the year 852 Hijri, he's a Misri, he's a Shafi'i. His commentary on Sahih al-Bukhari is the de facto accepted commentary on Sahih al-Bukhari. Fath al-Bari is what is called. He's also an independent hadith master in his own right? If you want to look at the impact that Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani rahmatullahi alayhi had on the scholarly community, we have to look no further than 2 well-known Hanafi hadith masters, Shaykh Waliullah Dahli, as well as the 11th century Mullah Ali Qari, as well as the impact and the influence he had on the contemporary hadith master, Shaykh Hafiz Nasiruddin al-Albani rahmatullahi alayhi. You can also find the likes of Ibn Hajar al-Haytami, the likes of al-Suyuti rahmatullahi alayhi. If you look at the likes of Imam al-Suyuti rahimahullah, he died in the year 911 Hijri. Imam al-Suyuti rahimahullah, number one, Imam al-Suyuti is actually a polymath in the Islamic sciences. Imam al-Suyuti rahimahullah, number one, he was a well-known Shafi'i jurist. He was also a hadith master. He was also his itqan fi ulum al-Qur'an is matched by few, if any, works in the genre of the Quranic sciences. Imam al-Suyuti rahimahullah, he is the author of Tafsir al-Jalalain. Now, the reason why it's referred to as Tafsir al-Jalalain is because it was written by the two Jalals, Jalaluddin al-Mahali and Jalaluddin al-Suyuti. Jalaluddin al-Mahali was a teacher of al-Suyuti, and he wrote about half of the tafsir, and approximately the second half of the Tafsir of Jalalain is written by Jalaluddin al-Suyuti, and he finished, just to give you an understanding of the greatness of Jalaluddin al-Suyuti, he finished half of the tafsir of the Qur'an in 40 days, right? Just wrap your head around that concept. Many people can't even read half of the tafsir in 40 days, but yet Jalaluddin al-Suyuti wrote one of the classical tafsirs, the classical exegesis of the Qur'an in a period of 40 days. And the only reason why I'm using these individual scholars is because, not necessarily because they are the most relevant, but because they are the most well-known, right? You find a similar situation if you look at the development of the Shafi'ee mathab in South Africa, right? In the Cape, right? You find that 9 traders went to Indonesia, and without a sword being lifted, they converted so many millions of Muslims today. What today is. Indonesia today has millions of Muslims. It is as a result of these 9 traders, right? Then you find an individual who was born in Sumatra, eventually studied in the Middle East, and he realized that in his home country, the one Muslim was played against another. So he reaches what was then the Dutch East, what was eventually to become known as Dutch East Indies, and he unfurls the banners of jihad, and he takes up jihad against the Dutch occupation. He is eventually exiled to South Africa, and because he's a man of prestige, because he's a man of honor, he is exiled to a farm called Sunflake, right? And this individual is well known as Sheikh Yusuf al-Taj al-Khalwati al-Makasari. Then you find one guru, Imam Abdullah ibn Qadi Abdul Salam from Tadori. He continued the jihad of Sheikh Yusuf. This is an individual who in the south of Robben Island, he wrote the Qur'an from memory. He also organized the first Jum'ah in South Africa when Islam was still a criminal offense, right? Then after him you find Sheikh Ahmed van Bengal takes over the work of Tuan right? And at that point in time, you find that as is the history of Islam, if you look, for example, in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, you find Khadija radiallahu anha, she financially supported the Muslims, right? If you look at what UNESCO considers to be the first modern degree-giving university, it is the Qarawiyyin Institute in the Maghrib. That was founded by a woman by the name of Fatima al-Fihri, and that tradition continued in South Africa. It was Begum Stolet who gave the financial and who gave the resources for the development of an institute of higher learning in South Africa, right? Then you find immigration started from all around the world, from the rest of the world, primarily from India, right? And then you find also the Ottomans started sending ulama, right? Amongst them Abu Bakr Effendi, and it's during that time that some of the first printed published works were written in Afrikaans. I mean, this is where Muslims contributed to the intellectual and cultural tapestry of this land. And I'm not talking about the tradition of two sisters on a Sunday. I'm talking about how it was because of the development of Islam, because of the development of the Shafi'ee mathab, that you have a situation where a Kurdish scholar from the Ottoman Empire comes to South Africa, writes Afrikaans in the Arabic script. That is the contribution, the intellectual and cultural history that Muslims have in this country. And you find that this continues, right, with different ulama of the Shafi'i madhab contribute to different works in different genres, the likes of Maulana Yusuf Quran, the likes of Sheikh Rahimahullah, the likes of Sheikh Muhammad Amin Fakir, right? And this is the patronage that one particular madhab has. Just the Shafi'i madhab, these great giants within their field, all of them are patrons of one madhab, of the Shafi'i madhab, right? And today you find that individuals, they think that because they went to some Eurocentric university, they think they've got the audacity to deny, to repudiate, to ignore these years upon years upon years of scholarship, of sweat, right? If that is not the very epitome of conceit, if that is not the apex of arrogance, then I surely do not know what is. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, يُرِيدُونَ لِيُطْفِعُوا نُورَ اللَّهِ بِأَفْوَاهِهِمْ وَاللَّهُ مُتِمُّ نُورِهِ وَلَوْ كَرِهَ الْكَافِرُونَ. They want to extinguish the light of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with their mouths, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will perfect His light even if the disbelievers dislike it. So there was a couple of issues I wanted to deal with in the form of question answer, but I don't think I'll have time, so inshallah I'll try and finish it in the next session. So some of the questions was, why are there differences between the madahib? Why don't we follow Qur'an Sunnah? Why don't we follow the Salaf al-Salihin? Why can't we just simply change madahib? Why are there no female heads of madhabs? Why are all of them males? Also, certain individuals claim that the madhab and the ulama are backwards. I was going to deal with that. Also, the issue of certain individuals claim that there are hadith and madhab contradictions. Does that really exist? And if it exists, how do we deal with it? So, because I don't have time, unfortunately, I'll try and deal with that in the next lesson. If you have any additional questions, you can email them to me. If there's any questions you guys want to ask now, you're more than welcome to ask them. Are there any questions? Questions? Yes.
So, like somebody, a Muslim, and is not maybe claiming to have any madhab, so will you advise such a Muslim to like stick to a madhab or just follow the Quran and Sunnah?
Actually, that's one of the issues I wanted to deal with in one of the questions, and I did partially deal with it in the lesson. Is there actually a contradiction between following the madhab and following the Quran and Sunnah? Inevitably, also I wanted to deal with that with one of the second questions when I asked, can you change the different madhab? So inshallah I'll deal with that issue in the next, which is out of line. I ask that you forgiveness. If what I've said is correct, I ask that you make dua and make dua for me. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد والحمد لله